Hi friends, in this video I'm going to talk about what is Spring Data. I'm going to explain first of all what exactly Spring Data helps us, how exactly Spring Data helps us, and I've written a sample code, a sample project using Spring Data. I'm going to retrieve and save some values in the database. Okay, so first of all, Spring Data helps us to generate some implementation code that helps with complex queries. So you don't have to write code for executing SQL queries and getting records from the database. It is automatically done. At least the basic CRUD operations are automatically the code is generated by the Spring Data. I'll show you how exactly it is done. So you have to do some configurations using Spring Data. So you have to use this annotation, enable JPA repositories. If you are using Spring Java config, you have to inform where are your repositories residing. Let me show you the code. So it is equivalent to the annotation. So JPA repositories, you have to inform where are your repositories. So here is my repository, okay, and this is my repository. It's an interface, and it has to extend from JPA repository from Spring Framework, and I have to give my entity class which I am dealing with my database, which is residing in my database. Okay, so this is my entity class. You can see here a basic entity class. This is my table name and all my attributes. Okay, so I have to inform which is my entity and what is the primary key, the ID, and I have to extend from JP repository. When I do this, what exactly happens is I'm creating an interface, okay, and Spring is going to generate the implementation code for few of methods. I'll show you. See, this is my controller. I have auto-wired the user repository, which is a simple interface, okay, but if you look at this, okay, we don't have the class, but I can show you the methods which is implemented by this user repository, because since it's extending from JP repository, these are the methods implemented by Spring. Find one, count, find all, and there are few CRUD operation methods which is implemented by. So I didn't write this method. I don't have the implementation for this method, save and find all. It is all automatically done by Spring Framework. Okay, that's the benefit of Spring Data. Okay, so I've talked about JPA repository. Okay, I just have the interface. I don't have the implementation because implementation is done by the Spring Data framework. Okay, I'm just going to use this user repository and start interacting with my database. Okay, and all the database details I have to give in my persistent XML. I'm using Derby database, and I've given my details here. Okay, so configure it, enable in your Spring framework that enable the JPA repository, give your repository packages, then extend from JPA repository. Automatically all your CRUD methods will be generated by Spring framework. Okay, so let me proceed. So a simple interface will look like this: user repository extend JPA repository. I just explained you. You can have your own method. So I can write my method like this. What will happen? Spring will generate the implementation code for this. Okay, so using this name, it will say select star from say user table where name is equal to this name. Okay, so it will generate the query. So if you want to provide your custom query, you can use query methods. So on top of your method name, you can give your complex queries. Okay, so Spring will use this query and write the implementation for this method. So from your side, you have to give only the interface, not the implementation. Implementation is done by the Spring framework. Okay, so how we were doing in the old way of getting the database record. So we will have entity manager, we will create a query object, and we will be using the entity manager find. So all this stuff is not required. Okay, we are not going to use this anymore because we are going to use Spring Data. So this is the old way of getting database records. Okay, so we don't need to do all this stuff. We have to just use an interface, that's all, and start using in your service layer or controller layer. Okay, So this is my application. I'm going to run this. I'm already my database is running, listening at 1527. So I'm going to start my application now and start accessing it. Okay, so let me start this code. So a very simple application where I can add some records to my database. Okay, so you can see here I didn't write any code for CRUD operations, database CRUD operation. Okay, so okay, this is my application. Okay, it's already running. You can see here some of the queries executed. Let me add one user. Okay, so I've entered the details of a user and location, name, email. I'm going to click on add. Okay, now you can see the user has been added. Okay, so let me show you the console. You can see here insert code. You can see the insert query. Okay, user data has been inserted, then we have done the select query. So if you see here behind the scene, Hibernate is used, and we didn't write any code for all this stuff. Okay, and say for example, if I do find one, implementation is given by the Spring Data and Spring Framework. Okay, so you can see here automatically all our insert query and select queries are working properly, and the benefit is I didn't write any code for CRUD operations. So this is my sample application where I've used Spring Data. So these are the benefits of Spring Data. Hope this video is useful. Thank you and all the best.